Today, we'll be covering a very well-known YouTube horror called Local 58. A while back, I went over one of the darkest YouTube icebergs, and towards the bottom of that iceberg lied Local 58. With no context, watching these videos can be haunting and disturbing. They will leave you wondering why they were even created, and who is making these short, terrifying clips. Luckily for you, there's a lot of information out on this today, so we will be enlightening you on what Local 58 really is. And we'll uncover one of the darkest theories on this horror YouTube channel. So what is Local 58 exactly? Well, with just a little bit more digging on the Local 58 YouTube channel, you will come across Kris Straub. You've probably heard of him before if you're into looking up stuff like this, but yeah, this was another Kris Straub creation. According to Wikipedia, he is an American web cartoonist and the creator of several webcomics. In a way, he is an artist who specializes in horror. But back to Local 58, this channel as of right now has 8 videos. These videos are all slightly different, but overall are connected if you really look into it, which is what I'll be showing you today. And when you see this connection, the videos become even more unsettling. The whole premise is that someone is recording their local news station, aka Local 58. Most of these videos are guessed to be about 50 years old, but then there is this video that is obviously in a different era. Despite this age gap, they are connected, and you'll see how in just a little. It seems that the story here is that someone is recording these on their VHS to share what they have been seeing on their television, because the footage that was shown on this channel Local 58 was terrifying and unexplainable, and if you didn't record it, people would never believe you. So let's begin the journey at contingency. This video starts at around 3 a.m. where the end of the broadcast day was scheduled. There are a few songs playing here that they change between, and at one point you can hear the national anthem right before this. Contingency message reel. To be used only in the event of the United States' complete surrender to insurmountable enemy forces. Public broadcast only upon confirmed condition. And on the top left you can see an expiration date as well, which is what makes me think this video was created in the early 60s. Then it really takes a dark turn when it tells people the contingency message, asking people to comply with the instructions with a God bless America at the end. Just take a look at this message again, American citizens, and then there is a date here that's supposed to be filled out, but this is what it has to say. The worst has come to pass. Despite the sacrifices of our citizens and the might of our armed forces, the United States has been forced to surrender to her enemy. Though they may occupy our borders, our streets, and our homes, the enemy will never occupy our spirit. That is why all Americans are now called upon to act to preserve the memory of the United States clear and bright, untarnished and uncompromised. Know that I have already taken action in the company of family and loved ones. Now all Americans, every man, woman, and child, are called upon to act before the moment passes by. Let our united resolve echo through history. Even in defeat, we refuse to yield. Even in a defeat, we claim victory. Act immediately. Honor liberty by taking the final and greatest liberty of all. It's a privilege to be called to action. You take America with you. We will each be remembered. Use the method most available to you at this time. Your courage will inspire others. There is nothing to fear. The time has come. Access to a loaded firearm is ideal. Place muzzle, whole of upwards to roof of mouth. Thank you. Join your neighbors, your family, your God. Your local law enforcement has been ordered to ensure your compliance. It is against the law to delay. This message will repeat until there are none to read it. If there is a time, victory position. Remember the 3 F's. Front lawn, face up, feet together. Infants and pets, the smallest. Patriots. And then you have this air come up and they leave you this little message acting like everything is just okay. Earlier today, the station aired what appeared to be a warning message from the US government agency. This has been confirmed as a hoax. Local 58 apologizes for any confusion that may have resulted. The last little line there is very dark. Because what if someone did take action, like what the video said? It would have all been just for a hoax. So yeah, that is contingency. Now, who is the enemy that overtook the United States supposedly? It was accidentally shown, but was it really? Could have it just been someone trying to expose this monstrous force to the world? And could have he or she just been caught? And that could explain why they said it was just an accident, just to cover it all up. Just keep this part in mind, especially towards the end where we tie all of this together. So today on Local 58 at 12:15, they'll have The Public Eye, 1 a.m. paid programming, 1:30 city council minutes, and 2 a.m. focus on faith. So it starts out with this weather warning alert that is coming on the channel. The Country Weather Service has issued a warning for a meteorological event. This warning is effective immediately and continues until sunrise tomorrow morning. It's like as if they're telling people to stay inside, and that is important to listen to, especially for the future conspiracies we have on all this. Citizens are advised not to observe this event with the naked eye, meaning they can't just look outside their house. It almost sounds like Bird Box. At this point we have another civil danger alert. This is where things get really creepy. This statement is contradicting the previous thing they just showed. The meteorological event is safe for all to view. Warning has been lifted. So someone either hacked the news station and was able to trick people into looking outside, that or something is just severely wrong with the people who run Local 58. Then you have this message, go outside now, in all caps. Then it ends with this message, looks like it says look at the moon. Then if you go just a little bit further into the video, you can clearly see that it actually said do not look at the moon, contradicting itself again. The following is a message, it's in the light. The moon came in, he found me through the mirror. Moonlight white, white like eyes, no light but blood. I drown in him. If you are afraid, we will look together. And then it pans to the moon with terrifying screaming sounds in the background. Now, is the moon what this person is talking about? When he says I drown in him, is he talking about the moon? The way I see this video, in the beginning we have all these warning messages, and then they talk to someone who actually looked outside that night, and that is what he had to say. It's like he is possessed or controlled by something, but we don't understand the full story quite yet. And that is what takes us to Show for Children. Today on Local 58 at 4:15 a.m., Show for Children. 5 a.m., Community Roundtable. 5:20, Focus on Culture. 6:05 a.m. morning local news. First thing that sticks out to me here is that it says that the show for children is starting at 4:15 a.m. There aren't usually children up at 4:15 a.m., or at least they shouldn't be up. So why is it that Local 58 is playing something for kids this late? Is it because they know that their parents aren't around and that no one is going to see what they're feeding into these kids' minds? The main character seems to be wearing a mime outfit, and he's a skeleton. The way this cartoon starts out is the character is just walking and walking through the cemetery. There's a moon on the top right staring down at him, and every time he got to a gravesite he would look in and be terrified. Every single grave he saw got scarier and scarier. Here it looks to be a skeleton that still has eyeballs. Usually skeletons do not have eyes because they have been so decayed, but for some reason this one had teeth and eyes and looked to be tied up. It seemed to just be begging for help, but it couldn't quite say anything. At this point, the cartoon character seems even more scared as he continues to run through the cemetery while being stalked by the moon. The next gravesite has something even creepier. It seems to be an even deeper hole. It seems to be some alien-like creature and may come back into play later, but it's definitely not of this world. At this point, the character is even more scared, and you can see that the moon in the background has changed its expression. This next hole that our character comes up against just appears to be a giant tunnel, the deepest hole of them yet. And then he's just walking through what it seems to be a cave, so it sounds like he went into this hole, and that is where he's walking now. In complete pain, it appears. And then he lays down here, staring straight up to what appears to be the moon. This image here, the moon almost looks like it has an eye, but we'll talk about that more later. And finally, our character is completely gone and decomposed to just bone. And this is a show for children to think. Pretty creepy. Real sleep. So this video is a little weird because it starts off with the standard Local 58 beginning, but you can tell that this video has been edited and that this is not originally from Local 58. Like it's some other video that this person is playing on their TV and still recording or taping for us. This video cassette is non-transferable. It is intended solely for the personal use of Gerhard Philipp. Basically, this video just goes through a bunch of these myth or facts, and they just keep going over about like sleep details and just saying that dreaming is bad. At some points in this video, they are saying that dreaming could be good, but in other points, they're saying it's bad. Kind of like the weather service video, there's a lot of back and forth, like someone's fighting to get the truth out. Then you have sequence 2 for cortical memory. In this video, they appear to be trying to hypnotize the viewer, Philip. What this little experiment does is it kind of distorts the faces on the side if you stare at the center of the screen. It is a real test that people do, but if you watch it, the distortion on the other faces is just terrifying. Once again, we have the same thing going on here, with random things being said in the background to try and hypnotize Philip. Towards the end, they're trying to get even more facts into this person's head as they hypnotize him. It goes by really fast, but the first thing it says is read each phrase without reading. The mind is a tyrant. Sleep is pretend. And then, just a good night. Most patients report a night of dreamless sleep after only one viewing of this video cassette. Consult your technician if you're experiencing delayed results and/or unwanted side effects. This video is here to hypnotize people into not sleeping. The whole point of this is to keep them restless at night. The reason they do that face experiment is for you to become scared and scared to turn off the light. You want to stay up, you don't want to go to sleep. The key is the force behind this just wants them to stay up at night. For some reason here on Local 58, they keep reminding people that sleeping is bad. They want you up at night. But why? Sky watching. Today on Local 58 at 12 a.m. we'll have sky watching. And then 12:30, City Council meeting recorded October 30th, 1991. This video is just called Sky Watching, and it starts with a guy going over the stars with his camera. You could see him messing with settings constantly, and he's just recording simple star formations, like Orion's Belt. In this scene, he appears to just be recording a full moon. It seems pretty simple, but this guy randomly starts moving the camera around for what it appears to just get a better picture. On the video, it randomly says his throne. He switches lens and he gets a better view of this crater in the moon. And look for yourself. It looks organic, it looks to be alive. It just seems like it's healing from some tragic wound of some previous war or battle. You can start to see clouds passing by, like as if there's wind on the moon, which from what we know is impossible. This is where things take a dark turn because you start to see geometric shapes on the moon. Looks to be almost an entire colony of something living there. Something not natural. He pans out and the moon is just simply gone. Moons just don't disappear. But this one did. There's a flash of light, like as if a nuke just dropped, and he could see the moon. Birds fly away, but the moon is 100 times bigger. Then you hear the sirens, and it's all downhill from here. This person, who was earlier saying that this was someone's throne, appears to be worshipping the moon, and then vanishes and says, "Rejoice. You are on the fastest available route." Tonight on Local 58, 12:05 a.m., the Midnight Movie will premiere at 1:55 a.m. We will have some paid programming. And then, something a little bit different that the other videos usually don't have. On the screen itself, you could see on the bottom at 1:55 a.m., they deleted that entire text. So this video takes place in 2014, as we could see in the top left corner, and it is someone driving around. It starts at 1:57 for this person, and it'll end much, much later. Throughout this entire video, you just hear the GPS talking and guiding this person through the trip. There's some fast forwarding here and there. At this point in the video, it's 3 a.m. and he's driving further and further away from the city he started in. At 5 a.m., he's still driving, and eventually he ends up on this trail that is just covered by trees on either side. It's just dirt or gravel at this point, and he's definitely far from home. The GPS just starts to make nonsense. It's telling him that the destination is getting closer and closer despite him just being at a standstill. It wanted him to take a U-turn at one point to get him closer to whatever was calling him out here. You can see a glimpse of a monster here, and maybe this is correlated to the same monster in Show for Children. Could the one in Show for Children just be a baby and this one be a full-grown one? But who are these monsters or aliens working for? Are they just lone wolves going around and haunting humans? Or is it a hive mind? The person in this video just becomes frantic, starts driving off. He ends up crashing, it seems, and you hear a giant explosion, and that is probably the last thing this guy saw. So, have you seen the connection yet? Have you figured out what Kris Straub's message was to us viewers? If not, let me enlighten you on the most probable theory. It all starts with the moon. In the sky watching video, you can see geometric shapes, wind, and clouds. Weird structures that make the moon look like it's a living being. The moon appears to be an eldritch abomination, a creature defined by its disregard for the natural laws of the universe as we understand them. They are grotesque mockeries of reality beyond comprehension, whose disturbing otherness cannot be encompassed in any mortal tongue. Could this be the enemy that was taking over the US in the contingency video? Seems that someone was enlightened and tried to share this with the world, but was caught by someone or something. See the creature in the fastest route available? What if these creatures are connected to the moon? They are just the moon's minions to do its work in the dark of night while the moon shines over them. In weather service, this theory really makes sense. They're telling people not to look at the moon, kind of like a movie that came out a while ago called Bird Box. In Bird Box, people couldn't even look at the monster without just going crazy and losing it. Sounds kind of familiar, to be honest. But back to Local 58, they couldn't even see it in a reflection. Somebody was smart enough to warn us. But with the contradicting messages throughout that video, it seems that he or she was stopped, just like the last person. At the end, we have the ominous shot of the moon, the very thing we were told not to look at, yet somebody is videoing it, probably already being controlled by the moon itself. Real sleep also ties into this theory. They're hypnotizing people and telling them not to sleep, so they are awake at night. Could the guy in the fastest available route be under hypnosis? It would be the only thing that would make sense, because nobody spends hours driving in the middle of the night listening to a clearly faulty, possessed GPS. In A Show for Children, we have the moon again, just watching from above as the character keeps coming across more and more horror as it smiles. Until in the end, the main character is found as a pile of bones with the moon towering above his grave. You can even see an eye here in the shot of the moon, reminding us that it is indeed an eldritch abomination. It is alive and is an overwhelming monster. Skywatching really all ties this together, because we finally get some of the clues that we've been waiting for to connect the entire puzzle together. This video shows that the moon is indeed alive and a creature, one that can disappear and seemingly teleport wherever it pleases. Back to the definition of eldritch abomination, they ignore natural laws. It is all coming together, you see. In Skywatching, the creator even has text over the moon that says his throne. And in the end, when the moon is towering over the man, he puts his hands out to worship the moon, like it's a god, and is consumed and just disappears. Rejoice is the last thing we see on this footage, and I think this very well could be the ending of the series called Local 58. Well, congrats. You made it through the Local 58 experiment. I bet you'll never look at the moon the same. Such a beautiful creation, begging to be stared at. But just remember what happened to the others that were lured into the moon's beauty. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like down below and consider subscribing if you enjoy this type of content. Anyways, keep your eyes off that moon, stay inside at all cost, because you saw what happens to the followers of the moon.